Yo, tapping in real quick for this UFC 312 that's fitting to take place this Saturday evening in Sydney, Australia. It's going down at the Sydney Superdome, also known as Q-Bank Arena. We have 13 fights, and that main event is a highly anticipated, long time in the making rematch in the middleweight division for the middleweight strap between Dricus du Plessis and Sean Strickland. Not to mention that co-main event is a highly anticipated matchup in the strawweight division for the strawweight strap between Wei Lee and Tatiana. I do appreciate y'all for tapping in. This video right here, this is the full card breakdown and predictions. I'll do my absolute best as not to hold y'all ear hostage for too long, but you already know how that goes. Now, I'm not necessarily sure what that lineup's going to be come fight night, but this is the lineup I have in front of me this morning. So this is very much so the one we're going to rock with. You know what I'm talking about? Let's go ahead and dive into it, man. That first fight of the night, that's a fight I want absolutely nothing to do with. You know what I'm talking about? Not in any way, shape, form, or fashion, unless we're talking betting and parlaying strictly for the prelims. And then even then, we have to be talking about haymakers and Hail Marys for the prelims, trying to sweep the whole early prelim card for me to involve this fight. You know what I'm talking about? We have Park taking on Old Boy. I don't know how to pronounce Old Boy name, so I'm not even going to sit here and attempt to butcher it throughout this whole video. You know what I'm saying? And as of right now, Old Boy is 0-1 inside the UFC, not counting his road to the UFC showings. I do not count that shit. I do not count Dana White Contender Series. I don't count anything outside of the UFC. I count you from the very moment you make your UFC promotional debut inside the octagon. And as of right now, unfortunately for Old Boy, he is 0-1. He lost to Carlos Hernandez. We can talk about the body of work he was able to produce or the lack thereof in that fight. You understand what I'm saying to you? Just nothing impressive, nothing to call home about. And, you know, with all due respect to that young man, Park's the pick. Park is currently 2-2 inside the UFC, not counting his road to the UFC run. And he made his UFC debut on Lewis vs. Spivak. And rear naked choke, Old Boy out. And then his second showing in the UFC octagon, he won via KO TKO in the second round. So it is what it is. The body of work produced by Park in his two showings has just been a bit better, absolutely everywhere, than that of what Old Boy was able to produce or lack thereof. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? So it is what it is. It's a fight I want nothing to do with. Two individuals from the road to the UFC. One of them who's currently 0-1 in the UFC. One who's currently 2-0 in the UFC. Both finishes. One coming via submission. One coming via KO TKO. Wouldn't be surprised if he beat the brakes off of Old Boy for 15 minutes and won this one via decision, because Park can get it done absolutely anywhere, in my personal opinion. You understand what I'm saying to you? But it is what it is. And Park's the pick. On to the next one. Another fight I want absolutely nothing to do with in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And one thing that you'll learn about me, if you ain't been around from the beginning, is I tend to stay away from a lot of fights when it comes to making my main bets and my main parlays. You understand what I'm saying to you? I trim a lot of unnecessary stressors out of the way. I stay away from the first fight of the night. I stay away from the last fight of the night. I stay away from heavyweight MMA. I stay away from women's MMA. I stay away from individuals making their UFC debut. I stay away from individuals over the -500 money line or just ridiculously priced for no good reason. And I stay away from fights that I have questions on from one side or both. And when I trim all of those unnecessary stressors out of the way, I tend to smack more times than not as far as my bets and my parlays are concerned. You understand what I'm saying to you? And that first fight of the night, that checks off a box. Question marks on that fight, that checks off another box. I don't want anything to do with that fight unless we're talking haymakers and Hail Marys. You know what I mean? This second fight of the night, we got Quinlan versus An Shul. Quinlan, he's making his UFC debut. That checks a box. He's -590 right now. Making his UFC debut, coming off a Dana White Contender Series, at a minus 590. And there's question marks on the fight. You know what I'm talking about? So he's making his UFC debut. He's ridiculously priced over the minus 500 money line. And I have question marks on this fight. I'm staying the fuck away from these fights unless we're talking about haymakers and Hail Marys for the prelims. You understand what I'm saying to you? Because while Quinlan has looked good as of yet, and he looked great in his Dana White Contender Series showing, how many times have we been down this road? How many times in the last 18 or 24 months have we been down this road where these motherfuckers are coming off the Dana White Contender Series showing as ridiculous favorites and just fumble the fucking bag? You understand what I'm saying to you? Because you've looked good as of yet up against who you've looked good up against. You understand what I'm saying to you? Once you enter this octagon and start to move forward, the level of opposition gets extremely different. You understand what I'm saying to you? And it just is what it is, man. For me, give me Anshu. Give me the big dog, man. You know what I'm saying? Give me the big dog and Anshu Jubilee to be the one to get this one done in some way, shape, form, or fashion, man. You know what I mean? It just is what it is, man. If you going to give me Anshu at a dog tag like that, this young man is currently plus 390 to a UFC debuter who's sitting at minus 590. That's just ridiculous, man. Because I get it. You know, Anshu came off the road to UFC. He knocked out Jekka. But who the fuck is a Jekka? You know what I'm talking about? But he knocked out Jekka. Then he got knocked out by Mike. Not a good look getting knocked out by Mike. You know what I'm saying? Mike is fucking 1-4, 1-3 in the UFC with that one win being over Anshu. So I get it. Folks are down on Anshu. Rightfully so, I guess one could say. And folks are high on Quillen. I keep saying Quillen. Folks are high on him, but you know, you're high on a guy based off of what, man? I get it. I understand why you're not high on Anshu Jubilee. He came off the road to the UFC, he knocked out Jekka, and then he got knocked out. So, you know, how can you be high on somebody coming off of you know, getting clipped and disconnected from their consciousness? But how can you be high on somebody like Quillen coming off a Dana White Contender Series, looking good on Dana White Contender Series and looking good up against who he looked good up against prior to Dana White Contender Series? How? Makes no sense to me. You know what I'm saying? I might find myself on the wrong side of this pick, and that's okay. That is okay. I'm not going to properly prepare myself as far as parlay placement is concerned for being on the wrong side of this pick, because Anshu Jubilee at plus 390 is just a dog play for me. And if I happen to attach that dog tag to one of my, you know, to as a third or fourth leg to my 2 or 3 most confident picks to try to boost that through the roof, then I'll do that too. But there's no way I'll play Quillen at minus 590 in any of my parlays. It's not going to happen. Minus 590, he's over to minus 500. He's making his UFC debut. He's coming off a Dana White Contender Series. There's question marks all over this fight. I keep trying to stress to folks, man, stop getting overly invested in these prospects, man. You know what I'm talking about? Because while they have looked good as of yet, they've looked good as of yet up against who they've looked good as of yet up against. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? The level of opposition gets extremely different once you get over here and you start moving forward. So, it is what it is, man. But, Anshu's the pick as a big dog to go ahead and bark and pop the fuck off. But it is what it is, man. Proceed with extreme caution. You know what I'm talking about? On to the next one. We have Jonathan versus Kevin. And, it's Jonathan for me, man. You know, with all due respect to Kevin Juicet, that's how you say his name. You know what I mean? He's solid. He's well-rounded. And I don't have a whole lot bad to say about him other than I feel like the boy Jonathan is going to be problematic. You know what I mean? I think he's going to be problematic. Styles make matchups, and I think he's going to be a very problematic, stylistic matchup for Kevin Juicet. And Brian Battle was problematic for Kevin Juicet. You understand what I'm saying to you? But I believe Jonathan's going to be a bit more problematic for Kevin Juicet. I think he's going to get Kevin Juicet down and I think he's going to choke Kevin Jousset the fuck out. You understand what I'm saying to you? I do not believe that either one of these young men have a high ceiling inside the UFC. I do believe Jonathan ceiling might be just a bit higher than Kevin's. Both of their ceilings are low, extremely so, in my personal opinion, when we're talking about this division and levels of opposition and moving forward. You feel what I'm saying to you? But I do believe Jonathan is going to have a bit more success over here in the UFC than what Kevin Jousset has already had and will have in the future. You know what I'm talking about? So it is what it is. It's one of them fights, man. You know what I mean? Proceed with extreme caution. We have one individual making his UFC debut. We have question marks all over this motherfucking fight. So, good reasoning to stay the fuck away from it. The pick is Jonathan. He's not anywhere near. As confident as I am in him, he's nowhere near. He's one of my most confident picks on the card, if we're being honest, but he's nowhere near my main bets, main parlays, my confident, locked up bets and parlays. He'll be added as an extension, He'll be in all the action, most of the action for prelim parlays, some action for whole card, haymakers and Hail Marys. Definitely in the prelim action, but nowhere near my main action because he's a UFC debuter and there is question marks here, man. You understand what I'm saying to you? I have confidence in him. I believe he's going to come in here and be a very problematic, stylistic matchup for Kevin Jousset and get him out of there inside the distance via submission. Maybe he cracks him. Maybe it's a club and sub type situation. Maybe it goes 15 minutes and he drags him out to a unanimous decision. But Jonathan's the pick for me, man. Here we go again. Another motherfucker making his UFC debut, man. His card is riddled with him. I said it at the beginning of the year. I said it at the end of the year, too. We're going to be riddled with cards this year that look just like this. You know what I'm saying? Prospect versus prospect. Debuter versus, road to the UFC. Man, it's ridiculous, man. We got Rong Zhu versus Cody Steele. And Cody Steele, Cody Steele looked good. He looked good in his Dana White Contender Series show, and he's looked good as of yet in his 7-0 run. You understand what I'm saying to you? And listen, Rong Zhu has looked good as well. You know what I mean? With the exception of a couple speed bumps. We had Chris Padilla getting him up out of there. Taco, that was a no fucking brainer. We called that, and he got him up out of there. I think the same night we called Gabriel Santos getting his boy out of there. Like Rong Zhu came in with his record of 25 and whatever, and the other boy came in with his record of 24 and whatever, and we had Santos getting him out of there and Padilla getting him out of there, and I believe that night went just like that. You understand what I'm saying to you? I get it. You look at this, one might look at this and be like, damn, 25-6, damn, 7-0. But that was the same situation when he was fighting Chris Padilla. He was 25-5, and it was like, damn, 25-5 up against, whatever Chris Padilla was. It seems like the experience is on old boy's side, and this, that, and the third, by leaps and bounds, 7, 14, 21. Like the man's, he's had 3 and some change more fights than 3 times the fights than him, and some change, almost 4 times the fights as him. So one might like to think it's 7-0, and at 25-6, that 25-6 is the way to go. You know what I mean? And I would normally argue that case as well. It's just that you could probably just call this more so a fade on Rong Zhu from me. Because, like I said, I like Cody. Cody's, looked good as of yet up against who he's looked good up against. You understand what I'm saying to you? Rong Zhu, I'm just not high on in any way, shape, form, or fashion, man. I just don't think he's that. I don't think he's that guy, man. I've said it many times. 25-5 over there is different than 25-5 over. 25-5 over there is different than 15-5 over here. It's just different. The level of opposition is different over there where he was competing at, in my personal opinion, as can be shown since coming over here and competing at a higher level of opposition. You know what I'm saying? Padilla got him out of there. He got a road to the UFC, road to the UFC, road to the UFC out of there. UFC, Ignacio Bahamundo's got him out of there. You know what I mean? He got a Jenkins out of there. Oh, nobody got him out of there. He got Jenkins out of there. Ignacio got him out of there. Road to the UFC, road to the UFC, road to the UFC, and then Chris Padilla gets him out of there. Like, when you step outside of this road to the UFC shit and you step over here to our level of opposition as far as prospects are concerned, you lose. You understand what I'm saying to you? So that's why, in my personal opinion, at 25-6, you are still very much so a prospect over here amongst other prospects from over here. You just happen to be fighting a 7-0 prospect from over here this go around. You understand what I'm saying to you? It is what it is. Maybe I lost some of y'all, and if I did, I apologize. It's just so many fights on this card that I want absolutely nothing to do with, because you have all these UFC debuters and all these, you know, road to the UFCers and just individuals who have not been competing against a high level or even a legitimate level of opposition, in my personal opinion, as of yet. The fact that we're even sitting here having to argue their statistics is fucking ridiculous. You understand what I'm saying to you? Because their statistics are essentially fucking meaningless. They have not been in there with a high level or a legitimate level of opposition for us to be arguing these statistics. As has been shown when individuals have come to the UFC with 100% takedown accuracy and all these crazy statistics, and then just out the window that shit goes. Much like the boy Bashi, man. You know what I mean? Came in there against Christian Rodriguez, and what did we say Christian Rodriguez was going to do? Stuff the majority of the incoming takedowns, possibly reverse, get a couple of his own, and produce a better all-around body of work over the course of 15 minutes for a unanimous decision. And to snatch that O from that young man. That man came in off a Dana White Contender Series, and if you looked at his statistics, they were fucking ridiculous. It was like 18 or something crazy, 26, 18, something stupid for takedowns over the course of 15 minutes at a ridiculously, you know, high accuracy. The striking, all the numbers are just ridiculous. And then they come into the UFC and it's just womp, womp, womp. You understand what I'm saying to you? So arguing these motherfucking statistics is fucking ridiculous, man. We just have to pick a side, you know what I mean? And I'm siding with Steele. Call it a fade on Zhu Rong. I don't like the dude. I don't like anything about the body of work he produces or lack thereof. He went 25 and whatever he went over there up against a different level of opposition. And even over there, he caught some motherfucking losses. But every time he comes over here and fights our prospects and our level of opposition, for the most part, he ain't winning. He's losing. That's where those losses come from. Because the level of opposition is different in my personal opinion. Now I'm done being redundant. On to the next one. You know what I'm talking about? My bad, y'all, man. And this is another one, man. Fuck. This is another one, man. Fuck this card, man. Fuck this card. We got Kobe versus Ilya's brother, man. And Ilya's brother is almost a minus 500, man. You know what I'm talking about? And he's not fucking Ilya. You understand what? He's minus 440. He's right under the minus 500 money line. And, you know, he's not motherfucking Ilya. We're going to just get that out the way right now. He is not Ilya. You understand what I'm saying to you? So, while he might get this one done, and he should get this one done in some way, shape, form, or fashion, I'm not necessarily sure how high of a ceiling this young man is really going to have inside the UFC's octagon for the UFC promotion in this division. You understand what I'm saying to you? We're going to rock with him. We're going to rock with him to be the one to get this one done. You understand what I'm saying to you? But this is just UFC debut on UFC debut. Question mark on question mark. You understand what I'm saying to you? Like, there is no statistics. There is no Dana White Contender Series. There is no road to the UFC. There is no looking for a fighter. There is no nothing for these two individuals. We have 7-0 and we have 5-1. Fighting in the 135-pound division, and pick your fucking poison. You know what I'm talking about? Would I be surprised if this Kobe guy was able to come out here and find a way to a victory in some way, shape, form, or fashion? No, I would not, because as I said, this is not Ilya. This is Ilya's brother. And we've seen, just like Gilbert and Herbert, you know what I mean? Just like the bomb fiend, every brother, like, everything ain't for everybody, man. You know what I mean? And we can't find ourselves getting overly invested into people because of their stories, their backgrounds, and you know where they come from or who they're related to, who they're kin to, who they train with. Because there's a lot of motherfuckers that train in a lot of high-level gyms with a lot of high-level champions and get rounds with them, but they'll still never be anywhere near the level of the individuals that they train with, get rounds with, and they'll never even step foot in the promotions that those individuals, you know, fight for. So one thing has nothing to do with the other, but it is all worth consideration. Ilya's little brother is going to be the pick, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want anything to do with this fight. 2 UFC debuts, question marks on both sides, if we being honest. Let's move on. Wang Kong versus my baby, Big Dog, Bruna Brazil, man. You know what I'm talking about? And y'all already know where I'm at with this one, man. It's Big Dog Bruna for me. All day, every day, even on a Sunday when I'm cashing them motherfucking tickets, man. Let's see where Bruna's sitting at. Where you at, Big Dog? Where you at, Big Dog? She's at a plus 330 for Wang Kong's minus 480. You know what I'm talking about? And listen, man, I get it. I get it. Wang came on another one, Road to the UFC. She came off of Road to the UFC and she fought Victoria Leonardo. You know what I mean? Victoria Leonardo is 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 and 4 inside the UFC. No. I'm sorry. She is 1 and 4 inside the UFC because that other win comes from the Dana White Contender Series against Chelsea Hackett. So Manon and Melissa, we can't really hold Natalia. Like, she's fought Gats. You know what I'm talking about? Manon Ferro, Melissa Gatto, Natalia Silva. They're all Gats. You know what I'm talking about? And then she lost to Kong Wang. Kong Wang loses to Gabrielle Fernandez, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like Gabrielle came in there and wrestle-fucked her, man. Y'all watch that fight just like I watched that fight. She cracked Kong in Kong's wheelhouse, club and sub type situation. She cracked her, caught her, and then took advantage of her vulnerability. You know what I'm talking about? So, I mean, it is what it is, man. You know, she's 2 and 1 in the UFC. She was 1 and 1. No, she's 2 and 2 in the UFC. She was 1 and 2 in the UFC coming into her fight with Kong. She cracked Kong and took advantage of the vulnerability and got her the fuck up out of there via submission. Now she's got to take on Bruna. Bruna's 2 and 2 in the UFC, man. And I get it. Hasn't been the greatest level of opposition. You know, she lost to Denise, then she beat Shauna, she lost to Luma, and she beat Molly. But coming into that Molly fight, man, she really started to turn some things around in camp and evolve, man. Like, you know, her and Thiago Moises, it was shown in both of their last performances. Thiago against Trey and Bruna against Molly. Bruna went 3 for 3, 100% on the takedown accuracy, drug her out, outstruck her, and just, you know, took that motherfucking win away from her in her hometown. The work that she's been putting in, the work that Thiago's been putting in over there at American Top Team, the work that motherfucking Brazil been putting in, Bruna's been putting in with her team, and then the work that they both been putting in at their secondary team, which is the Fighting Nerds, has paid the fuck off in their last motherfucking showings. You understand what I'm saying to you? And I don't think that's going to change this week, man. I don't think it's going to change this week, man, because I don't know that Bruna is going to play around with this girl. They're both 5'6". Kong has a 66-inch reach. Bruna has a 65-inch reach. Kong is 61% accuracy on her strikes. Bruna's 61% accuracy on her strikes. But the thing is going to be the 72% accuracy on Bruna's takedowns. I think Bruna's going to take her down, man. I think Bruna's going to string a combination together, get in close, and get this young woman down to the ground where she knows she's uncomfortable. Put her in a compromisable position and either find a finish from ground and pound top position or via sinking into submission and getting her out of there inside the distance like that. Give me the big dog, man. Give me the big dog. We have been down this road too many times, and we have been traveling down this road now for too long as far as these Dana White Contender Series showers, you know, coming off a Dana White Contender Series as heavy favorites, looking good, right? Catching an L, and then being listed as a significant favorite, almost one of the biggest favorites on the card in their next fight. It's given very Robelis to Spain type shit. You know what I'm talking about? Like Robelis, immaculate striker. You know what I mean? Very clean, very crisp, got a nice pop, very fucking dangerous in that department. Came in, looked good. Off of Dana White Contender Series, came in, had a good showing in the UFC. Then they put him against Salsa Boy, and he gets drugged the fuck out, man. He gets drugged the fuck out, rinsed and repeated. He gets drugged out. That's just that with that. Salsa Boy takes that motherfucking dub. They match him up against Austin Lane, and what do? They make him the biggest fucking favorite on the card again. He was just the biggest favorite on the card against fucking Salsa Boy just about, and got drug out and lost. Now he's fighting Austin Lane, and you're making him the biggest motherfucking favorite on the card. Making him the biggest favorite on the card again, and what does Austin Lane do? Drug him the fuck out. Rinsed and repeated. Followed the blueprint from Salsa Boy and got him the fuck up out of there. And then what? They cut him from the promotion. We don't want nothing to do with you no more. You ain't worth a fuck. You knew what he was. He was a karate kid when he came in that motherfucker. He was nasty on the feet. The moment you put him in there with somebody who wasn't going to play his game, they drug him out. Then you match him up with Austin Lane, thinking Austin Lane, he don't take nobody down. Let's make him a significant favorite because that karate style is going to work. And then Austin Lane goes in there and drags him the fuck out. And then you cut the boy from the promotion. You know what I'm talking about? Stop it. I get the same feeling with Wang, man. Wang looked good on road to the UFC. Wang came in against Leonardo or whatever, and she fucking won. And then she gets fucking, you know, finished inside the motherfucking distance by Gabriella. Now, we're going to make her an even bigger favorite. We're going to make her another big favorite on the card, one of the biggest favorites on the card, up against Bruna Brazil. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. Bruna Brazil's coming off of, you know, if I'm not mistaken, she's coming off of that dub, right? Where I took her to cash as a plus 250 against motherfucking Molly. And she went in, yeah, Molly, she's coming off of the win where she went 3 for 3 on her takedowns at 100% accuracy. So if you think that she's not going to go in here and get Kong down, you lost your mind, man. I don't think she plays the game. I think she goes in here, she strings a combination together, she gets in close, she gets her down to the ground, she makes her uncomfortable, and she finds that finish. Ground and pound or submission. I'm done. Bruna's the pick, man. Moving on, we got Tom versus Borshev. And Tom's the pick for me, man. It is what it is. I'm just not high on the Borshev side of things. You understand what I'm saying to you? And I'm not going to sit here and say I get it with all due respect or any of that bullshit because I don't get it. And fuck all that. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. Let's talk about it, man. Let's see what's going on with old boy, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what's going on with old boy. Off of Dana White Contender Series Season 7, he comes in, makes his debut against Dakota Bush. Who the fuck is a Dakota Bush? You know what I'm talking about? Absolutely nobody. 0-2 in the UFC and doesn't, you know, ain't here no more. Then he loses to Mark Giacchese. It is what it is, rightfully so, you know. Like, the ceiling in the UFC for Borshev has already been placed. You understand what I'm saying to you? Like Mark Giacchese, he takes the loss. Mike Davis, he takes the loss. Mahashete, he catches a dub. Nazim, he loses. Chase, he loses. And James, he wins. Well, Dakota Bush, not in the UFC anymore. Mahashete, I don't know that he's in the UFC anymore. 1, 2, 3, 3 and 2 in the UFC. 2 and 3 in the UFC, my bad, for Mahashete. 2 wins and 3 losses, not including his Dana White Contender Series showing. And I don't believe that Mahashete is with the UFC anymore. Nazim, he drew a draw to Nazim. Chase Hooper choked him the fuck out, and he beat James via split decision, not even via unanimous decision. You know what I'm talking about? It's just not there, man. It's not there. Maybe the Chris Duncan win on Dana White Contender Series is what deceived everybody, in my personal opinion. People got deceived by this young man back in 2021 when he knocked out motherfucking Chris Duncan. Then he comes in and knocks out Dakota Bush, and people are giving him a little bit more credit than he deserves. He gets drug out by Giacchese, loses by Mike Davis, and then he knocks out Mahashete again. So people are like, well, you know, and then draws to Nazim, choked out by Hooper, and then he gets a win over James via split decision, and people are thinking, hey man, you know, he's that guy, he's back. Like, you know what I mean? It was just it was bad stylistic matchups, man. Get the fuck up out of here. Borshev's a fucking bum. And I get it. Nicholas Mata knocked out Tom Nolan. So maybe one of y'all want to get down on Nicholas Mata for knocking out Tom Nolan, who just knocked out Mahashete after knocking out Tom Nolan and knocked out Kane. Like, that's what he does. He knocks people the fuck out, or he gets knocked out. That's what motherfucking Nicholas Mata is. He's kill or be killed. Knocked out Machete, knocked out Nolan, no contest to motherfucking Trey. Got knocked out by Manuel Torres, knocks out motherfucking Cameron, got knocked out by Jim Miller. You understand what I'm saying to you? Like, he is just, he's kill or be killed, man. You know what I'm talking about? That's what he is. He's kill or be killed. So, you know, Nicholas Mata catching Tom Nolan doesn't put me down on Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan knocked out your boy Bogdan Grad, that just did the 1-2 and beat the fucking brakes off of Lucas last week, and y'all was high on Bogdan Grad. Well, Bogdan Grad had to come back for another season of Dana White Contender Series, because when he stepped in there against Tom Nolan, he got knocked the fuck out in a minute and 23 seconds of the first round. So then Mata knocks out Tom Nolan when Tom Nolan makes his UFC debut. But then motherfucking Tom Nolan knocks out Victor Martinez, and then motherfucking grinds out motherfucking Alex Reyes for a unanimous decision, man. It is what it is. You know, the body of work produced by Tom Nolan, in my personal opinion, is just a bit better and a bit more dangerous. He's got a motherfucking 4-inch reach advantage. He's got a 4-inch height advantage that works for the kicks, that works for the strikes. He's southpaw to orthodox. You understand what I'm saying to you? It just is what it is, man. Better strike, you know, it's just, I like the bull. I like him. I like him to be problematic for Borshev. I'm not high on Borshev, though. I do not like Borshev in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So maybe y'all want to stay away from this, because this is more like a motherfucking fade, you know, on Borshev than anything else, you know what I mean? Kind of like my fade on Wrong Zoo with Cody Steele. This is a fade on motherfucking Borshev with Tom Nolan. You understand what I'm saying to you? I'm just not high on them guys. We've seen where Borshev's ceiling is inside the UFC. We've seen where Wrong Zoo's ceiling is inside the UFC. We've seen Borshev's with Dia Casey, Hooper, and the rest of them. You know what I'm talking about? We've seen Wrong Zoo's with motherfucking, you know, Chris Padilla and Ignacio Bahamondos and them. You understand what I'm saying to you? We haven't necessarily seen where Tom Nolan's ceiling is. He's kill or be killed. So Nicholas Mata crack him. But if him and Nicholas Mata fight 10 times, I think they both clip each other 5 for 5. You understand what I'm saying to you? So that's kind of, you know what I mean? I believe he's going to be a bit more successful over here in the UFC than what Borshev was. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that I can say the same about Cody being more successful than Wrong Zoo. I'm picking Cody to fade Wrong Zoo. You know what I'm saying? I fucking like the dude. But it is what it is. Tom's the pick. I think he's going to crack him. I think he's going to knock him out. And if he doesn't knock him out, it might be a club and sub type situation, and Borshev might lose, you know, via submission again, like he did the last long, lanky motherfucker that he fought, Chase Hooper. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, man. Tom Nolan's the pick. And moving on, Jack Jenkins versus Gabriel Santos. You know what I'm talking about? And it's Gabe for me. It's Gabe for me. This ain't a fight that you know, it's a fight that I'm interested in. I want to see the fight. I want to watch the fight, you know what I mean? Really interested to see how it plays out and who's going to be able to implement their game, you know what I mean, and get this one done in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I do believe it's going to be highly competitive and closely contested. You understand what I'm saying to you? Where both of these young men have their moments. I've just decided to side with Gabe to be the one to get this one done via unanimous decision. 2 rounds to 1. Maybe it's a split decision. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe it's a majority decision. But I still believe that it'll be Gabe that is the one getting the nod and, you know, being victorious. Don't see this fight finishing. Like, I feel like they could run this fight 10 times, back to back, and it would go to the cards all 10 times. More times than not, we would find, you know, Gabe just edging Jack out ever so slightly. You know what I'm talking about? Jack, I don't know, man. What is he? Where we got him at? 3-1 inside the UFC. He knocked out Herbert Burns. Welcome to the club for beating Herbert Burns. He got Jamal Emmers, and he got Don Shainis, or whatever the boy Don Shainis name, who's 0-2 in the UFC. You know what I mean? Jamal Emmers, that's nothing to call home about. That boy is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 inside the UFC. And Herbert Burns, I mean, God, there's nothing to call home about that one. You know what I'm talking about? And he ran into my homie Chepe, unfortunately for him. You understand what I'm saying to you? And when he ran into Chepe, you know, that hurt him. He ended up on the wrong side of that one, trying to improperly stop that judo toss, and it cost him dearly. You understand what I'm saying to you? And, you know, that's always worrisome. That can be a messy injury, you know what I'm talking about? Whether or not that's 100% or will ever be 100%, only he knows that, you know what I'm talking about? Numbers relatively close, man. You know, 5'7" to 5'9", Gabe's 2 inches taller. 68 to 70 inches, Gabe's got a 2-inch reach advantage. 4.83 minutes strikes landed per minute at a 60% accuracy by Jack. 4.69 at a 59% accuracy by Gabe. 2.92 at a 61% defense by Jack. 4.77 at a 47% defense by Gabe. That could prove to be problematic. I just don't necessarily put a lot of stock in Jack's power, but to be determined. Average takedowns over the course of 15 minutes, 3.44 for Gabe at a 52% accuracy, and 2.12 for Jack at a 69% accuracy with a 76% defense and an 85% defense for Gabe. Hence what I mean by this one's going to be highly competitive and closely contested, man. 59% and 60% on the accuracy is the only place that they separate significantly anywhere in their statistics is the striking defense. Jack at 61 and Gabe at 47. Everything else, takedown accuracy for Jack at 69, 52 for Gabe. Takedown defense for Gabe, 85, 67, or 76 for Jack. Everything is relatively close, man. And I just believe this fight is going to be relatively close, you know. Majority split decision, both names getting read off, and just one of them getting the nod at the end of it. And I've just decided to go ahead and side with Gabe. But I will properly prepare myself for being on the wrong side of this pick as far as parlays are concerned. You know what I'm talking about? Highly competitive, closely contested. Would I be surprised if this one was a plus 5,000 draw? No, I would not. If any fight on this card is going to be a draw, in my personal opinion, it'll be Jack Jenkins versus Gabriel Santos. But I see a unanimous split or majority decision, one way or the other. I'm just deciding to side with Gabe, but proceed with extreme caution, and to each their own. You understand what I'm saying to you? That's just how I'm going about attacking that one. Main card action. We have Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado. And pardon me, I gotta fire this one up for this one because this is my one and only light adjustment to this card. I originally, when I wrote my picks out and looked at the slate, you know, sided with Francisco Prado to be the one to get this one done in some way, shape, form, or fashion, largely due to the fact that I'm just not necessarily now, nor have I ever necessarily been that high on the Jake Matthews side. But with that being said, it was absolutely necessary to give Jake Matthews the respect that he deserves. And digging a bit deeper. You understand what I'm saying to you? And what I mean by the respect Jake Matthews deserves is look at the level of opposition that he's been competing against. He's been up against it far much more for far longer. You understand what I'm saying to you? The level of opposition and the resumes are undeniably incomparable. In my personal opinion, that's a fucking fact. Win, lose, or draw, the level of opposition that Jake Matthews has been competing at competing against is just far more significant than that of anything that Francisco Prado has been competing up against. You understand what I'm saying to you? And for as much as I have been down on Jake Matthews in the past, I cannot deny the fact that at 30 years old, he is just now coming into his prime. For as well-rounded, for as solid, and for as dangerous as Jake Matthews has proven that he can be, and for as long as Jake Matthews has been around. You understand what I'm saying to you? 2014, he'd been here in the UFC for 10 years. You understand what I'm saying to you? So for as long as he's been around, and as well-rounded as he is, as solid and as dangerous as he's proven he can be, at 30 years old, this young man is just now coming into his prime. You understand what I'm saying to you? We're on the other side of things. Francisco, at 22 years old, not so much so. That's what I mean about that age. It's a double-edged sword sometimes, because at 22 years old, you're just, you're still coming into yourself. You're still learning. You got them learning curves to turn, them speed bumps, them roadblocks, those potholes. You have all types of things to still go through and experience to still gain. We're on the other side at 30 years old. You've been through a majority of that already, and you're coming into your prime. At 22 years old, you're still being fucking molded. You understand what I'm saying to you? There's still a long way to go and a lot to learn. At 30 years old, you've learned a lot of that. There's still a little bit more to go, but you're now entering your prime. You've hit those, learning curves and them speed bumps, them roadblocks you've ran into, them potholes, what I'm talking about? You've dealt with all of the adversity. You've, filled in your holes. You figured out where you went wrong. You understand what I'm saying to you? So it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, you have an eight-year youth advantage, but there's a hell of a experience advantage on the other side. And at 30 to 35, you're not 40 to 45. You're still entering your prime and in your prime. Where at 22, you're still being molded. You understand what I'm saying too? So taking all of that in consideration, upon further investigation, I came to the conclusion that Jake Matthews is going to be the proper side in this particular matchup. You understand what I'm saying to you? And yeah, man, that's that with that. Give me Jake Matthews to be the one to get this one done via unanimous decision. We just gonna call it 2 rounds to 1. Jake Matthews. Would I be surprised if he was able to, skirt a 30-27 in there with one of those motherfucking judges? I wouldn't be. Jake Matthews, man, for my one light adjustment on this card. I apologize for jumping the gun on y'all. It's what I do, though. It's what I do, man. I tend to get things out ASAP and early as to have no misunderstandings or confusions. You feel what I'm saying to you? Let's get this out and, ready to rock. And more times than not, I don't have any adjustments. Every now and again, there might be a light adjustment. And it is what it is, man. Last week, there was 2 light adjustments. I originally sided with Bogdan and Jamal. Upon further investigation, I came to the conclusion that Hamby the Hammer was the proper side in that particular matchup against Jamal the Stormtrooper. You feel me? And based off of principles, level of opposition, respect, I swapped over to Lucas. And, came out wrong on that one. You understand what I'm saying to you? But 1 for 1 on light swap outs, light adjustments last week. We only have 1 light adjustment this week, and it's the Jake Matthews and Francisco Prado fight. And Jake Matthews is the pick via unanimous decision, 2 rounds to 1. You know what I'm talking about? Now let's talk about Jimmy Crute and Bellato. Let's talk about these boys real quick, man. The pick for me is Bellato. You know what I mean? The pick for me is Bellato. I don't believe that Bellato has a very high ceiling inside the UFC. But I do believe he's going to be around for quite some time. And he's going to be, more successful than not. You understand what I'm saying to you? I'm just not high on Jimmy Crute, man. The guy has no dog in him. You know what I'm talking about? He's solid. He's well-rounded. He's athletic and he's talented. So the fuck is Ryan Spann? You know what I'm talking about? Like, that's just not enough, man. Like, you can be solid. You can be well-rounded. You can prove to be fucking dangerous in certain situations. You know what I'm talking about? But if you don't have no dog in you, if you ain't shit as far as being the nail is, like, nobody wants to be the nail. Everybody wants to be the hammer. You know what I'm talking about? But listen, man. You ain't doing nothing but beating motherfuckers up. If you ain't never been the nail. You ain't never been in a fight. If you ain't never been the nail. You know what I mean? A fight is a fight. A fight is a back and forth exchange. A fight isn't just beating the brakes off of somebody. That's bully shit. You know what I'm talking about? When you get into a fight, you taste your own blood. You know what I'm talking about? A fight ain't a fight if I ain't getting hit. That's just me sparring and getting my shit off. I need to get hit in this snot box, this soup cooler. I need to taste my own blood. You understand what I'm saying to you? I need somebody to rip my body and crack a fucking like, that's how the release get out. You get what you get. Beating on the heavy bag, precision bag, speed bag, throwing the dummies around, you know what I mean? Putting your work in, sparring and all that. You feel what I'm saying to you? But, you know, and you'll get a certain amount of release if you go out there and just don't get touched. You know what I'm talking about? Put on an immaculate performance. Woo, just woo, everything going this way. Doing them a Rob, looking that way, and it's pop, 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 and put a motherfucker under. Yeah, you're going to get a bit of release, you know, the win, the thrill of the victory and all of that. You know what I'm talking about? But the real release of all them demons and that stress comes when you get hit. You know what I'm talking about? Not just while you doing the hit. Not for me anyway. To each their own. You understand what I'm saying to you? But I need to get hit. Hit me. Hit me. That's where that release is at. Hit, make me feel something. Make me taste something. Rock me. You know what I'm talking about? Let's fight, motherfucker. You know what I mean? And Jimmy don't got that in him. Bellato got a bit more of that dog, a bit more of that fight in him. Jimmy don't got that fight in him. Jimmy don't got no bite down on the mouthpiece and throw back when a motherfucker starts getting touched and, you know, a motherfucker's coming after him. He just don't have it, man. He's solid. He's well-rounded. He's athletic. He's talented. He's had no dog in him. He has no real fight in him. You understand what I'm saying to you? He was used to going out there with his fucking mullet and just doing what he wanted to do and finding the finish with quickness inside the distance type shit until he met some resistance. And when he met some resistance, boy, oh boy, did it just go like that. You understand what I'm saying to you? My bad. Kind of jumped off track, you know. Bellato was the pick. 3-inch reach advantage. They're both the same age. Puts out 2 times the amount of volume at a better accuracy. Same defense. 100% takedown defense up against a 57% takedown accuracy. Croup will be trying to get this one down to the ground because Croup does not want to get knocked the fuck out again. You understand what I'm saying to you? And it is what it is, man. I just believe Bellato is going to crack Croup and crumble him up, fold him up like a fucking lawn chair before Croup is able to get anything going. But it is what it is. I just don't like Jimmy Croup. I'm not high on the guy. And we've seen where his ceiling is inside the UFC. Not to say Bellato has an extremely high ceiling inside the UFC, but you know. Like a Rodolfo Vieira, and like he'll be around. You know what I mean? And he'll have more success than not. Jimmy Croup, not so much, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets clipped and disconnected from his consciousness in this current slide that he's on, that they don't motherfucking cut him from the promotion. You know what I mean? 1 loss, 2 loss, draw, 3 losses. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Anthony Smith knocked you out. Jamal Hill knocked you out, but we had Jamal Hill knocking you out. That was when Jimmy Croup was coming off that leg injury or that ankle injury, whatever happened, where he couldn't fucking, motherfucker just couldn't stand fucking still. He couldn't walk out, you know what I mean, and continue to fucking fight. Little baby bitch ass, you know what I'm talking about? He was coming off that injury. Jamal was coming off the injury where his shit snapped. And Paul Craig snapped his shit But the difference there is Crute was acting like a whole bitch. Listen, pain's pain, and I get it, but Crute was acting like a whole bitch. Maul's shit was snapped like Gumby just flapping around. Boom, boom, boom. He's still trying to find the finish in his own right via KO TKO before they stop the fucking fight because his arm's flapping around. It's a difference. Maul got more dog in him. So when they put those two against each other, I said, man, we taking Maul to knock this motherfucking fool smooth out. He ain't got enough dog in him. He ain't got enough fight in him. If not for anything else, Maul got that dog in him. As far as that matchup was concerned. You know what I mean? So Maul got him up out of there. Then you draw to Alonzo Menafield just to come out and get guillotine choked by Alonzo Menafield. Like, come on, man. How can you be high on Jimmy Crute, man? How the fuck can you be high on Jimmy Crute? This resume, come on, man. Bukakis, like, Sam, like, come on. He beat Paul Craig. He beat the guy that beat Jamal via snapping his shit. Like, come on. He lost to Misha. Even in 2019, losing to Misha Serkinov isn't a good look. 2021, getting knocked out by Anthony Smith, not a good look. Jamal Hill is what it is. You draw to Alonzo Menafield, then you get choked out by Alonzo Menafield. There is nothing to call home out about this guy. And Bellado, listen, it's Ihor Potieria and it's the boy Taha. You lost to Vitor Petrino in the UFC on Dana White Contender Series or in the UFC? Dana White Contender Series, he loses to Vitor Petrino, and his other loss in his career on the regional scene is to Vitor Petrino. You understand what I'm saying to you? So it's not like he can't be beat by suspect opposition. He can be beat by suspect opposition. I just don't believe Jimmy Crute to be the suspect opposition that's going to beat him. To be determined, though. Proceed with caution. Bellado is the pick, though. You know what I'm talking about? Tafa versus Taliesin, man. Let's talk about it. They doing Tafa dirty, man. They doing Tafa dirty. Taliesin's not going to play with him neither, man. They doing Tafa fucking dirty. In my personal opinion, maybe I'm wrong, man. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm tripping. You know what I mean? This is a UFC debuter coming off a UFC Dana White Contender Series performance. You know what I'm talking about? It's prospect versus prospect, no matter how anybody feels about the situation. You know what I'm talking about? Like, come on, man. Harry Hunsucker, Parker Porter, Austin Lane, and Juan Adams. These are the victories accumulated on Justin Tafa. There's nothing exciting and nothing to call home about on Taliesin's resume neither. But come on, man. Come on, man. No contest to Austin Lane, then you beat Austin Lane and lose to Carl Williams. We called Carl Williams in that one. You lose to Gerald, you lose to Carlos Felipe, which, hey, if we keep it funky, that was a good fight. That was a fucking fight. That was a fucking fight. And if not for nothing else, Carlos Felipe will stand there, you know, and fucking bang with you. He's like 3-1 in the UFC, I think, not including his Dana White Contender Series showing. No, he's 3-2. He didn't have a Dana White Contender Series showing. So he's 3-2 inside the UFC. I'm talking about Carlos Felipe. Carlos Felipe, you know, that was a bang out. That was a good fight. I'm not mad at him for losing that fight. That was a good fight. He has that kind of a fight with Taliesin. He's going night-night, though. You know what I'm talking about? Yorgan De Castro, like, come on, man. Carlos Felipe, Jared Vandermeer, Austin Lane, and Carl Williams, like, you got to miss me with this shit, man. This is who you losing to. You beating Harry Hunsucker, Parker Porter, Austin Lane, and Juan Adams. You got to miss me with that shit, man. There's nothing, and Taliesin, man, it's not, you know, he got one fight on Dana White Contender Series, and everything before that in his 7-0 run, yeah, he looked good, but he looked good up against who he looked good up against, man. The only reason I am so confident he is going to look good up against Justin Tafa is because it is Justin Tafa, man. It is a Tafa brother, and with all due respect to the Tafa brothers, they are not even on the level of the Tai Tuivasas, the Mark Hunts, the Roy Nelsons. You know what I'm talking about? Like, there is certain individuals. It's the heavyweight division. It is the most shallow division in UFC's history. It always has been since these other divisions got implemented. I'm not talking about way back in the beginning. Way back in the beginning, we didn't have all these other smaller divisions. You understand what I'm saying to you? So it was a bit fucking different. But now, that heavyweight division is the shallowest division, has been the shallowest division, hence why Jay Alton Almeida left light heavyweight, just stopped cutting weight and went to heavyweight because he saw a faster route to title contention in that division because it's such a shallow division. You come in off the Contender Series, you have 2 fights, and you're fighting ranked, you're fighting in the top 15. Then you're fighting in the top 10, the top 5. If you're winning, you're fighting for a fucking title within a few fights. You know what I'm talking about? Like, the heavyweight division is just built different. You know what I mean? And Justin Tafa is not a tie to Avasa. He's not a Mark Hunt. You know what I mean? He's not a Roy Nelson. But he is, he is an individual. He's a filler, man. Some of these heavyweights, they have to stay on the roster. The ones that come out here and lose more so via decision, they get cut a bit quicker because the shit's boring. But if you're coming out here and you're kill or be killed, or you're putting on fights like he did against Carlos Felipe and losing via decision, they're going to keep you because it's fucking exciting. You're heavyweights, and every fucking shot you're throwing could possibly end the fucking night. And when it doesn't, it's like, ooh, how the fuck did he eat that? And he's still fucking standing. You know what I'm talking about? It's a squabble. So, it is Tafa. He's here. He might be here for a while, just like a tie to Avasa. Just, you know what I mean? Some of these Mark Hunts, like these jokers had records that were like 11 and 15, but it didn't matter to the UFC because they either came out and knocked you the fuck out spectacular, or they got knocked the fuck out or it was fight of the fucking night and they couldn't believe how somebody didn't get knocked the fuck out. You know what I mean? You come out there heavyweight and you drag out and you're boring, you're out of here, guy. You can hit the fucking door. But if you keep losing as a heavyweight because you getting slept, but you putting on fight, fan favorite fights type shit, you doing fucking shoeies in the crowd, like, we gonna keep you around. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. Tafa, he's here, but he's a filler. You know what I'm talking about? He's a filler. And people like Taliesin, they're gonna beat him. You know what I mean? 83 inches in the reach to 74 inches. 6'7" to 6 feet. If he wants to teep kick this motherfucker, you know what I'm talking about? Put them toes right above that motherfucking belly button. Man, any body kicking he wants to do at 6'7" to 6 foot, he's getting away with it. Because Tafa's not grabbing the leg like a Frankie Edgar to pull it in and push him motherfucking, like Frankie would. He was a master at just grabbing the bottom of that motherfucking heel and ankle when you try to low kick at him and jab you. He'll mush your chest just to push you back on your motherfucking ass and then get up on you. You know what I mean? Tafa's not out here doing that. You could kick the fuck out this young man all night long to keep him at bay. And then 83 inches to 74 inches in the reach, man, you could teep that motherfucking every time he come close. Work that jab. Work that jab. Just stay behind that jab. That 1-2 down the pipe all fucking night. Boop! Boop, boop, my double, triple up one. Boop, 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 boom. Back up with the tick. Boop, boop, boom. Back up. Tafa's not athletic. Tafa is not agile, mobile. His all-around mobility is shot. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? So he's not cutting the motherfucking octagon off. He's not cutting corners. He's not, displaying foot movement that's going to make it hard for you to do just that. And I believe Taliesin possesses the kind of crack that if he teeps him back, jabs him a couple times, and then throws that 2 down the fucking pipe, he gonna push Boy back on his motherfucking heels, and then he can come in with a couple more, bang, bang, and Tafa big ass is gonna go down to one knee and ball up like that, and it's gonna be over. That's if he don't go flat. You feel me? But that big motherfucking tree trunk just don't like to fall over. You feel me? So he might just kind of go down to one knee and cover up type shit. But I got Taliesin, man. I know I drugged that shit the fuck out. My bad, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Taliesin's going to lose. Maybe in his next fight or the one after that. You know what I mean? He's not going to go to 10-0 in the UFC, in my personal opinion, unless they properly match him up. Like, this is a proper matchup. He's going to go to 8-0. To be determined moving forward. You understand what I'm saying to you? It would have been a good matchup if they still had Robelis to Spain around, but they cut him. You know what I'm talking about? So now they got to properly match up Taliesin. It is what it is, though. He going to win this one. Wei Lee and Tatiana, man. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about this one real quick because it's Tatiana for me, man. It's Tatiana to improve to 12-0. at 34 years old, turn 35, and defend her title. Possibly defend her title one more time before she turns 36, or turn 36 and defend her title. That'll make her, if she 12-0 on Saturday, 35, defend her title, 13-0, 36, defend her title, 14-0, then defend her title one more time. I think she's going to retire at either 36 or 37 at 14-0 or 15-0 as the champ. I can already see it, man. She not dumb, you know. She know injuries are going to come, and more so in the later years. She's where she wants to be right now. She's going to capture this gold. She's going to do so inside the distance via submission. If she does not do so inside the distance via submission, she's going to do it undeniably via unanimous decision, man. You know what I'm talking about? That's just my personal opinion. But, you know, when she, I know it's against different levels of opposition, but when we go off of the decisions, you know, in a 3-round fight, it's 4 out of 5 on the takedowns and 144 out of 197 on the motherfucking strikes. You know what I'm saying? That's when she's getting the decisions. Other than that, you know, it's knockouts. It's submissions. Because listen to me when I tell you, there's a big fucking difference when this young woman gets on top of you from when any of these other young women get on top of you. You know what I'm talking about? It's a big fucking difference, man. She is going to, she's going to wear on her. She's going to grind on her. And then I personally believe she's going to find her vulnerable momentarily and slip into submission, man. Like she's going to find that moment where she's just vulnerable momentarily, whether it's via some strikes coming down and Wei Lee's trying to block something and she slips something in. Tatiana's fucking dangerous, man. She's dangerous, man. And I got her, man, via unanimous decision, bare minimum. But I got her via KO, TKO, or submission because she could knock her out from top position, ground and pound type shit. Or Wei Lee doesn't like that ground and pound raining down on her, and she spins, puts herself in a compromisable position, giving up her motherfucking back, and the submission gets sunk in, and it's over just like that. You know what I'm talking about? Then you can line up the rematch with Grasso, and she'll get her out of there again, you know what I mean, to defend that title. You can give her a couple other people, man, to defend that title. And then she's going to retire undefeated, man, and go about her motherfucking business, 14 or 15-0. Watch what I tell you, man. She gonna do it right, man. She gonna do it right. Female, UFC fighter, rose through the rankings, undefeated, captured the gold, defended it 3 times in the strawweight division, and retired undefeated, 14 or 15-0. At 36, 37 years old, with plenty of motherfucking life to go. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe I'm just grasping at straws, dreaming and wishing for her. You know what I'm talking about? But I can see it, man. Because I personally can't see anybody in the division that can stop her game. But again, that's just me. And that's my personal opinion. So Drakus versus Sean, man. This one's going to be a good one, man. Yo, she's submitting her, man. Fuck all that. She's submitting her, man. She's submitting her motherfucking ass, and she's submitting her in the first 2 rounds somewhere. Mark my motherfucking words, she getting her the fuck up out of there, man. She's getting her up out. She's different. She's different, and Wei Lee was taken down by old girl in that last matchup 3 out of 3 times. Old girl went 3 out of 3, 100% on her takedown accuracy. If you think Tatiana's not getting her down, you've lost your motherfucking mind. And there is an extremely significant difference when she's on top as compared to when anybody else has ever been on top of Wei Lee. I don't even care who she's preparing with to get prepared for Tatiana. It's just not the same. It's not the same. Ask the folks who went and prepared with motherfuckers before they went in there with Hamzat. And then Hamzat just did Bobby Knuckles like that, did K. Holland, like just does folk the way he does folk. You know what I mean? it's just, it doesn't fucking matter who you bring in because they're not them. And while they might try to implement what they're visually seeing, they don't have the same motherfucking, grit, grit and strength. You know what I'm talking about? The same dog, the same, intentions. You know what I'm talking about? So, yeah, man, Tatiana's submitting that young lady, and that's just that with that. Sean Strickland versus Drake Du Plessis, the main event, part 2. Run it back. What we going to do? I'm taking Du Plessis, man. He wants to test his. It's never good to look past anybody, especially when you're rematching somebody. You know what I'm saying? But he wants to test his skills against Khamzat, man. He wants to risk that gold. He wants to put that belt on the line up against Khamzat Chimaev. He wants to see if he can stop the boogeyman. You know what I'm talking about? He wants to see if he can end that reign of fucking terror. Much like Imavov. Imavov, man. Imavov feels like he's a bad stylistic matchup for Drake Du Plessis. And he wants to motherfucking, he has no hesitations in testing his motherfucking abilities against Khamzat and stepping in the cage with him. Like these cats, man, it's never good to focus on something else and look past nothing else, man. But it's, look past somebody to something else that could cause him to get knocked the fuck out on Saturday, man. I just feel like this motherfucker, he knows the threats that Sean possesses. You feel what I'm saying? And presents. He knows the holes that need to be filled in from the last matchup. Same can be said on the other side for Sean. You know what I'm talking about? But I said it before, man. Sean Strickland, even Drake Du Plessis, he's not, I believe he wins this rematch, but he's not going to have a long reign as a champion, man. You know what I'm talking about? This Sean Strickland being champion and Drake Du Plessis being champion, that shit is like, I said it earlier, man. It's like, Rashad Evans, Forrest Griffin, Rampage Jackson, Lyoto Machida. It's like that whole belt exchange after Chuck Liddell had it and prior to John Jones having it. That's the type of situation that this division is in right now. You understand what I'm saying to you? And I kind of feel like Khamzat's going to play Khabib. Right now, I feel like the layout of the division is very much set up for him to play the role of a Khabib up here in this division, man. You know what I mean? He goes in there, he chokes out a motherfucking Drake Du Plessis. He defends and chokes out, an Imavov. You understand what I'm saying to you? And then what do? Like, you know what I mean? There's some people coming up in the rankings, but, I feel like Khamzat has been put into a position now, and the way he looks now, you know what I mean? Got to take into consideration that, too. You feel what I'm saying to you? And how he's just now, as solid as he's been, as well-rounded as motherfucking Khamzat Chimaev has been, that motherfucker's just now in his motherfucking prime, too. You understand what I'm saying to you? Where the fuck we at, man? If I'm not tripping, man. Am I tripping? Am I tripping, man? 30 years old. 30 years old, man. So for as solid, well-rounded, and as dangerous as Khamzat Chimaev is proven that he can be at 30 years old, he's still just coming into his prime. We still have not seen the best there is to see from a grown, mature, experienced, prime-time Khamzat Chimaev. You understand what I'm saying to you? So this division, this Du Plessis is champion. While he may, I expect him to, but while he may beat Strickland on Saturday and remain and still, that reign on the top is going to be short like Leprechaun, my guy. It is not going to remain. Khamzat is coming for that gold, and he's going to take it. He's going to capture it. And maybe he lets you rematch for it and get you up out of there even quicker. You know what I'm talking about? Like, Max did to Jose. Like Rose did to Juliana. or Joanna, I mean, you know what I'm talking about? Like fucking Henan Barral got done by TJ Dillashaw. You know what I'm talking about? Like, man, give me that gold. It's my time now. Let's run it back. I'll get you out of here faster. Fuck on somewhere. You know what I'm talking about? I think that's where we at with Hamzat. So Strickland and Duplessis battling for the gold and all that shit, man. It's just, you know, it's like Rashad Evans and Forrest Griffin, Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, Lyoto Machida. Like, it's all of them battling. All of these other individuals battling for the belts before John Jones came to fucking, you know, hold it down after, you know, Chuck Liddell held it down. Well, this is all of these cats battling for the belt after Izzy held it down and prior to Hamzat holding it down. You know what I mean? And much like Chuck Liddell, Izzy just got knocked the fuck out. You know what I mean? Come on, bro. We don't want to see you go out like that. You did everything you needed to do. You solidified your motherfucking spot. You knocked out your motherfucking boogeyman in the motherfucking rematch in the octagon. You understand what I'm saying to you? You came in, you ran through the motherfucking division. You did everything you needed to do. I didn't want to see you step up when you stepped up and you had to take on Jan and you took that loss via decision. That was a loss I feel like we didn't need to get into because that was a fight I feel like we didn't need to have, a division we needed to stay away from. If anything, come on, Izzy. Your frame is built to go down to welterweight. You know what I mean? Fight the Michael Venom Pages. Fight the fucking Ian Machado Garys. Have some, do like Anderson Silva did when he fucking, you know what I mean, wanted to fight you and fight fucking Jared Cannonier and fight. He was talking about fighting Conor McGregor, you know what I mean? Because he just, at that stage of his career, he had captured the belt, defended the belt, did everything he needed to do to cement his motherfucking legacy, and his time was over. You know what I mean? He realized his time was over. He realized it wasn't going to be on the up and the up so much for him anymore. And he smartly was like, let me just have these fights, man. Let me get these guys these fights against me who want to say that they, you know, have my name on their resume. And let me get in there and fight them because they the new thing and see where they at with it. Well, Izzy, you need to do that with the Ians. You know what I mean? Maybe have a legacy fight with motherfucking Michael Venom Page. You understand what I'm saying to you? He'll fight you at 185 if you want to stay there. I think you go between 185 and 170 though, man. But stop. Stop the madness. Stop fighting like with Chuck. Like you up here trying to fight the Rashad Evanses. You know, the Rashad Evanses, the motherfucking Wanderlei Silvas. You know what I mean? You up here still trying to fight the gunners right now and the up-and-comers right now, and it's not going to work out for you like it didn't work out for him, like it hasn't worked out for so many, and I don't want to see that motherfucker go out like that. You know what I mean? But that's what this is. Sean Strickland and Dricus Duplessis, this is like, you know, Forrest Griffin and Rampage Jackson. You know what I mean? Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, man. Motherfucking, Rashad Evans and Lyoto Machida, like however you want to call it, man. You know what I mean? This is that era in between Izzy and Hamzat. After Izzy and prior to Hamzat. Just like after Chuck and prior to motherfucking John Jones. You feel me? That's the era that they are in. So I don't put a lot of stock in this motherfucker being a champion. You feel me? And Sean, he captured it. Like Forrest captured it. And Rashawn captured it. You know what I'm talking about? Dracus, he got it. He's defended it once. Like, who was it? Rampage, or who was it that defended it once? You know what I mean? In that little era. Only one of them, because it kept going bang, 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 bang. Like one fucker, Rampage snatched it. I think he might have defended, then he lost it, and then he lost it, and then he lost, and he lost it. And then John Jones left Lyoto Machida dropping down the motherfucking side of the cage. You know what I'm talking about? This is that era. You feel me? He got the belt from Strickland. Right? He defended it against Izzy. Maybe he defends it against Strickland and then loses it. You know what I mean? And that's it. Never gets it back. But he had it. And he defended that motherfucker 2 times. More than what Sean could say. Sean had it and what? Defended it 1 time? Or tried to defend it 1 time and lost it. Yeah, Sean got it and lost it. Never defended it. You know what I'm saying? And then Dracus got it, defended it, possibly going to defend it a 2nd time, and then he's going to fucking lose it. And then Hamzat's going to have it, and Hamzat's going to be the one, you know, after Izzy. Like Johnny Bones was the one after the Iceman. You know what I'm talking about? My bad, man. I held y'all ear hostage like a motherfucker. Hour and 15 minutes almost, man. My bad. That's how the ball bounced and the cookie crumbled, though. You know what I'm talking about? Dracus Duplessis is the pick, and still for the time being. You know what I mean? So, real quick, for what it's worth, we rocking with Park. We rocking with Anshu as a big dog. We rocking with Jonathan, and we rocking with Cody. But fuck this early prelim card. Prospect versus prospect, question marks on both sides. UFC debuter versus prospect, question marks on both sides. UFC debuter versus prospect, question marks on both sides. UFC debuter versus prospect. Because even though he's 25-6, he's very much so a prospect over here amongst our prospects. So it's prospect against UFC debuter. You understand what I'm saying to you? That's checks in the complete pass section. Boop, 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 boop. Leave these motherfuckers alone, man. Proceed with extreme caution. I could be wrong about every fucking one of these fights. I ain't even gonna hold you. My confidence level on these fights, give me Jonathan is my most confident pick. And he's an underdog at like plus 190. Ain't that a bitch? I'll take it though. You know what I'm talking about? If I'm not mistaken, right? Jonathan's an underdog at plus 190. Where you at, Johnny boy? Where you at, Scrap? Plus 190 to Kevin Juset's minus 250. You know what I'm talking about? Here we got one coming off a Dana White Contender Series that looked very fucking good up against an individual who's coming off a motherfucking loss. The individual who's coming off a loss is a minus 250. The one coming off Dana White Contender Series who looked very good is a plus 190. You know what I'm talking about? Anshu Jubilee coming off a loss, plus 390. Quillen looked very good on Dana White Contender Series, minus 590. Where the fuck does any of that make sense at? You know what I mean? Oh boy, looked real good on Dana White Contender Series, minus 590. I don't think it justifies that, but you know, he looked really fucking good in his last showing, and old boy got, you know, caught a loss in his last showing. So I could see y'all making the one who looked really good on Dana White Contender Series show it a favorite, slight favorite, something, you know what I mean? Wrong Zoo was on the wrong side of a loss inside the UFC. Cody still looked really good. Dana White Contender Series, he's a 225 favorite. You feel what I'm saying to you? But Jonathan, who looks really good in the UFC, against Kevin Juset, who's coming off a loss. Jonathan's a plus 190 dog, and Kevin Juset's a minus 250. Oh, shit. A minus 250. Y'all took a ride right there, my bad. This shit don't make sense to me. This shit don't make sense to me. I'd have knocked the whole goddamn table over. This shit don't make sense to me though. You know what I'm talking about? It just is what it is, man. These money lines are fucking ridiculous because what justifies them? You justify Cody Steele being a minus 225 favorite over Wrong Zoo's plus 172 dog because Cody Steele's coming off a good win on Dana White Contender Series and Wrong Zoo's coming off a loss. You justify Quinlan being a minus 590 favorite over Anshu's plus 390 dog because Quinlan's coming off a Dana White Contender Series looking good and Anshu's coming off a loss. You know what I mean? You justify fucking, where's he at? Where's the other one at? Because there's another one, man. Anyway, then you got motherfucking Kevin Juset and the boy Jonathan. Jonathan looked really good in his Dana White Contender Series, and Kevin's coming off a loss. But Jonathan's a plus 190 and Kevin's a minus 250. The reasoning behind these motherfucking lines be outside of my motherfucking, outside of anything I can grip. You understand what I'm saying to you? But who the fuck am I? You know what I mean? It is what it is. My bad, y'all had to take a little ride like that. But you can see now that I be doing all this shit from my phone, just like I tell y'all. That joint propped up on a hot sauce bottle right now. You hear me? Huh? I got my laptop right here on my chest table. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah. And I just happened to bump this motherfucker too hard and y'all took a ride, so I apologize for that, man. But early prelims, proceed with extreme caution. If we talk about betting and we talk about parlaying, you understand what I'm saying to you? Don't go too crazy. Do not go too crazy, man. Because this is prospect versus prospect all the way up, all 4 fucking fights. And some of these prospects aren't just prospect versus prospect, but they're prospect versus UFC debut prospect. You understand what I'm saying to you? Park and Tom, Prospect and Prospect coming off a motherfucking road to the UFC. Quillin and motherfucking Anshu, UFC debut versus Prospect. Jonathan versus Kevin, UFC debut versus Prospect. Cody versus Rongzu, UFC debut versus Prospect. Proceed with extreme caution. The pick is Park. The pick is the big dog in Anshu. The pick is the, other dog in Jonathan. And the pick is Cody. 2 favorites and 2 dogs on them early prelims, man. Now we got these prelims, 1, 2, 3, 4 fights here. You have UFC debut versus UFC debut. Women's MMA, UFC Prospect versus UFC mid-level Prospect, whatever the fuck you want to call Borchef, mid-tier, medium low. You know what I mean? Like, he not even medium on the stove. He medium low. He might be the dot in between medium low and low. Like, he not built like that, man. But Prospect versus Prospect and Colby versus Topuria's little brother. Kong versus Bruna, that's women's MMA, or women prospects MMA. And one of these women, who's a significant favorite, is coming off of a vicious loss. And the other one's coming off of cashing as a plus 250 dog. The dog is coming off of cashing as a 250 dog. You understand what I'm saying to you? And we had her to cash as a 250 dog. But it's women's MMA. Tom and Borchef, that's Prospect versus Prospect. Jack versus Gabe, that's Prospect versus Prospect. Both of them like to implement an all-around body of work. Who's going to be able to implement their game and get it going first? You understand what I'm saying to you? How well are they going to deal with the resistance that both of them are going to show? Question marks on both sides, man. You know what I mean? So you got Prospect versus Prospect, but Ilya's little brother's the pick. Women's MMA, but the big dog and Bruna is the pick again. The cash back-to-back dog for me. And we got Tom versus Borchef, and Tom as the slight dog is the pick, and Gabe versus Jack, and Gabe is the pick. I have more confidence in some of my underdogs than I do in some of my favorites as picks. You understand what I'm saying to you? But that's just me. To each their own. So early prelims, it's Park, Anshu, Jonathan, and Cody. And prelims, it's Ilya's little brother, Bruna, Tom, and Gabe. Main card starts with our one and only light adjustment, Jake. Jake is, for his age, one might not think it, at 30 years old, but for anybody who's been around, knows how long he's been around, how solid and well-rounded he's been. He's just coming into his prime. He's been in the UFC for 10 years. He's a vet. This is a young, UFC veteran. He ain't no OG, but he a young UFC OG to this young boy. As far as all of this is concerned, level of opposition, where he been competing at, the promotion he been competing in, body of work he's been able to produce up against the level of opposition he's been able to produce it against. He an OG to that young boy, but he a UFC vet, man. Just now coming in, who's just now coming into his prime, not a UFC vet that's on his way out type shit. He just now coming in to his prime. And Prado, he's a prospect, man. He's a young prospect who's still being molded, man. Still has some learning. So Jake's the pick, man. Jimmy versus Bellato. Give me Bellato. It's Taliesin, it's Tatiana, and it's Drakus, man. It's a main event. One might think it's going to be highly competitive and closely contested, so if you're betting and parlaying, you might want to apply that swap-out option. Tatiana and Wei Lee, that's women's MMA, man. You already know how to proceed with that unless you're extremely extremely confident, but you should still be extremely cautious and not have her anywhere in your main plays, you know what I mean? Main card plays, maybe a couple other plays, but keep away from your main, which you might want to consider a lock or a safe play. Keep women's MMA and heavyweight MMA, which is Taliesin and Justin. Prospect versus Prospect. and question marks if we're being honest, regardless on how I feel about this shit. These fights have been crazy, man. Real sketchy as far as betting and parlaying so far this year to kick it off. But we're gonna try to make sure we find ourselves on the right side of these motherfuckers, man. So it's Drakus, Tatiana, Taliesin, Bellato, and Matthews on that main card. That's it, man. That's the whole Jimmy Jammer right there, man. Park, Anshul, Jonathan, Cody, Ilia's little brother, Bruna, Tom, and Gabe. Jake, Bellato, Taliesin, Tatiana, and Drakus. That's how we gonna rock that right there, man. That's that with that. Ain't no more adjustments. Ain't no more nothing. Only thing incoming is most confident picks video. We'll talk some underdogs, and we'll talk some parlays, man. You know what I mean? Let me see what they got on here right now for these prelims. 1, 2. Nah, see, we gotta bust that up because that ain't right. Let's do this main card real quick because they got that right. And then we can go down here to this other one. All right, so if we fucking with Jake, Jake said minus 235, right? Jake said minus 245. Drakus is at 215. We at plus 108 right now. I'm going to take Taliesin before Bellato. So that's 3 legs at plus 251. You know what I'm talking about? 2 legs at plus 351. You feel me? And then you can give me Bellato, right? That's 4 legs at plus 463. You know what I'm talking about? And then what we'll do is we'll come up here. This is the, this is the sweep the whole main card. 5 legs for plus 915. We're going to go ahead and take Tatiana Suarez. You know what I mean? So let me run that back from the beginning, and then we're going to do something else too. But real quick, fucking with Jake Matthews at minus 235. If I'm not mistaken, he is now currently the biggest favorite on the main card. And I like to run it from biggest favorite on down. You know what I mean? But I skipped over Bellato because of my confidence level. It's just a little bit more in Taliesin. Anyway, Jake Matthews at 235 with Drakus at 215 gives us a plus 108. And we slide down to Taliesin. That gives us plus 251. Then Bellato gives us plus 463 for 4 legs. Anybody who's a degenerate like me loves to hear 4 legs, 4 favorites at plus 463. 4 legs, 4 favorites at plus 4 anything just rings fucking good to me. But that's the degenerate. That's the degenerate engine in me getting fine-tuned when I look at these money lines. You know what I'm saying? And then that 5th leg, women's MMA. And that gives us 5 legs at plus 915. You feel what I'm saying to you? I'm going to have action on that. Right there, I'm going to tell you where my action is going to be at. It's going to be on this 3-legger right here at plus 251. Jake, Drakus, and Taliesin. It's going to be on this 4-legger at plus 463. Drake, Drakus, Taliesin, and Bellato. And it's going to be on this 5-legger at plus 915. Jake, Drakus, Taliesin, Bellato, and Tatiana. Now, we also going to take women's MMA and the main event out the way. And I'm going to have a 3-leg play at plus 284, which is Jake, Bellato, and Taliesin. You know what I'm talking about? But then, rightfully so, I have to go ahead and take out Taliesin and rock with Jake and Bellato because Talison's a heavyweight. Jake and Bellato give me 2 legs at plus 128. You know what I'm talking about? Now, me personally, I expect all of them to hit. I expect Jake and Bellato at plus 128 to smack Jake, Bellato, and Taliesin at plus 284 to smack Jake, Bellato, Taliesin, and Drakus at plus 463 to smack, and Jake Drakus to plus, and Tatiana at plus 915. I expect all of them to smack, man, but I'm gonna do them just like that, just in case something somewhere, don't do what it needs to do. You feel me? Gotta break it down. If the women just happen to fumble the bag, or the main event just happens to fumble the bag, or if the heavyweight just happens to fumble the bag, that's why I gotta have motherfucking Jake and Bellato at plus 128. Because I'll put my fucking head through the drywall Motherfucker, you know better. Last fight of the night, heavyweight MMA, women's MMA. What the fuck you be on there saying every motherfucking day? Redundant as fuck, but then you gonna do this dumbass shit in every main card parlay? Nah, nope, we ain't going out like that. That's why it's absolutely necessary to go ahead and lock in this plus 128. You know what I mean? Something heavier than what I lock in this motherfucking plus 284. You feel what I'm saying to you? Then a little bit lighter on my plus 463 and a little bit lighter on my plus 915. You feel me? I expect them all to hit. But if because the women was in there and I missed my, you know what I mean? I'd be mad. So I gotta have her out for the 463. If the main event, I gotta have him out for the, you know what I mean? For the 284. The heavyweight, I gotta have him out for that. And then we could take, since we did the 3-pack with the heavyweight at plus 284, we could take the heavyweight out and put Dragus back in the main event. That's plus 234. Maybe I'll do something on that as well. And then it's absolutely necessary for me to clear all of that shit out and look at this motherfucker and say, all right. Strickland and Prado. 2 legs at plus 639. I'll put a sprinkle on that. Just in case. Something light, nothing major. But if that shit happens, means all of my shit didn't happen, and at least I'll get that back. Then I'll take and put something just on Strickland at 164, and I'll take and put something on Prado at 180. And that way, if any of my shit goes left, at least I can secure my back door and get back what I invested in this main card for main card parlays with those plays. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you picking up what I'm putting down. Maybe you ain't. You know what I'm saying? To each their own. It's just the way I go about shit. You know what I mean? That's main card. Then we do prelims. You know what I mean? Then we talk about who we like from the main card, who we like from the prelims, and we put them motherfuckers together for the whole card, man. You feel me? So if we down this motherfucker trying to get disrespectful, you know what I mean, and crack, they on the main, so boom. All right, let's see what these favorites look like real quick, as far as the ones I like anyway. You know what I mean? Staying away from women's MMA. So Pure is under a minus 500, so we can just click him in there. You feel me? That's still only minus 138. My fault. Let me tell you what I did real quick. I took Gabe at minus 245, right? And then I took Ilya's little brother at minus 440 for a minus 138, right? Then I'm gonna take Park at minus 250, and those three give me plus 141. But I'm greedy, and we on the prelims, so give me Steel. You know what I mean? That's 4 legs at plus 249. That's what these favorites are looking like for anybody who's on the side of these favorites, man. You feel what I'm saying to you? And then you have that boy Quillen's over a minus 590. If you like him, 5 legs get you plus 308. If you like Cohn, we'll come to her last because that's women's MMA. Hey man, to each their own. If you like Kevin Jousset, that's 6 legs at plus 472. And then Borshev, 7 legs at plus 853. And Cohn is 8 legs at plus 1052. But that is all favorites on the main card, on the prelim, suggesting that no dogs are going to bark. You know what I mean? All favorites, all 8 of them, is plus 1052. If you like that, that's for you. Run with it. Do what you do with it. But that's suggesting that absolutely no dogs are going to bark on that 8-fight early prelim card. Now, for me, personally, I got to get Quillen out of there. He's a minus 590. And I got to get Kevin out of there because I just don't like that motherfucking pick. I got to get Kong out of there because she's motherfucking women's MMA. And I got to get motherfucking Borshev out of there because I just don't like that pick. If we being honest with each other, let me get everybody the fuck up out of there and watch this. Here's going to be my main play on the prelims. No bullshit. Give me Jonathan at plus 190. And give me Tom at plus 118. Two legs at plus 532. I'm all over that, man. I'm all over that, man. You got me fucked up. I'm all over that. Based off of what I've seen. Body of work produced on both sides, from Tom and from Borshev. What they deal with and what they don't deal well with. You understand what I'm saying to you? The kind of resistance that they can, they can take, and the kind of resistance that they crumble under. From both sides in both of these fights. Kevin and Jonathan and motherfucking Tom and Borshev. I have come to the conclusion, man. I personally believe, this is just me, this is just my personal opinion, man. But I personally believe those to be the sides, man. So before this motherfucking phone dies and checks out on me, right? That's gonna be my favorite two plays on the prelims, man. Jonathan and Tom. Two legs at plus 532. And if I was to sweep these prelims, that shit would look like this. Give me Ilya's little brother for three legs at plus 675. Give me Park for four legs at plus 986. I almost want to stay away from Gade and Jack. I'm definitely staying away from Cody and Rong Zhu. So this is what I'm going to do. Four legs at plus 986. John, Tom, Topuria, and Park. And then for me, I'm going to put something on that plus 986. And then what I'm going to also do is I'm going to add a fifth leg at plus 390, Jubilee. And that gives me five legs at plus five legs at plus 52.22. And the degenerate in me just absolutely fucking loves that, man. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, you could put $5 on them five legs and get $261 if you just wanted to tell that motherfucker, roll the dice with me and see where they lay. You could do it like that. Just don't be mad when that $5 turns into $260 for you and my 25 turns into $1,300 for me. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm gonna put a quarter water on that joint. 3 dogs and 2 favorites. Listen, I hit a 7-leg prelim sweep with 3 dogs and 4 favorites when Vanessa Demopoulos was a plus 300 and Alia Tang Hai Lee was a plus 130 and Carnelossi was a plus 180. So right now I have a plus 390, a plus 190, and a plus 118 mixed with a minus 440 and a minus 250. On that card, it was mixed with 4 other significant favorites as well, but I obliterated them prelims. So listen, man, I like John and Tom to win. And Anshu, that's my dog play. You feel me? And I'm going to put something on that. And I'm going to take Anshu off. And I still got those 4 legs, right? Or no, what I do, I just took John off. I take Anshu off. So I still got 4 legs at plus 986. And I'm going to slide on up here to my baby at plus 330. And I'm going to take them 5 legs at plus 4570. You know what I'm talking about? And that's Bruna Brazil. That's Tom, Jonathan, and Bruna as my dogs. Park and Topura as my favorites. You feel what I'm saying to you? I have a single play on Bruna at plus 330 and a single play on motherfucking Jubilee at plus 390. You feel me? I feel like it's absolutely necessary. You know what I mean? As well as it is absolutely necessary to take a shot on them dogs with my, where's the boy at? Give me Topura and give me Park. So Topura and Park is minus 140, right? And then I put Jubilee on that, and that's a 3-pack at plus 741. I take Jubilee off and I put Bruno on, and that's a 3-pack at plus 638. Now the shit that'll be real disrespectful is if I'm able to slap 7 legs together again, right? Give me Jubilee and give me Jonathan. Give me Topura and give me Brazil. Give me Tom. That's 6. So where do we go? We go to Cody Steele or we go to Gabe? Give me Gabe, man. 7 legs at plus 32,128. You ain't said nothing. Put 7 hours on it. That's what I'm gonna do. 7 hours on it for 2,249 bucks. You know what I'm talking about? Now, if that shit goes crazy, don't be mad at me, man. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at yourself for not taking $7 out of your fifth pocket and putting it on that motherfucker for 22.50 back type shit. Topura, Park, and Santos as your favorites, man. Jubilee, Jonathan, Bruna, and Tom as your dogs. I'm putting 7 hours on it because that's the way I want the card to go. You feel what I'm saying to you? I told you about my other plays I'm going to do, my single plays I'm going to do. You know, that's prelim shit. You start talking about the whole card, staying away from the main event. Me, Jake. Me, Park. If y'all want to stay safe, me, Topura. That's 3 legs at plus 144. For anybody who likes to stay safe, Jake, Park, and Topura is 3 legs at plus 144. You can give me Gabe, 4 legs at plus 244. Bellato and Taliesin, 6 legs at plus 831. Tom and Jonathan, 8 legs at plus 57.87. And if anybody wants to rock with me, you can just drop $1 a leg. $8 to get you $462.98. You know what I mean? It's an 8-legger. I'm going to put a dub on it. You know what I mean? Because it's the way I would like to see the card go. And the dub would get me $1,157.44 back. You know what I mean? Now, my phone about to die. You understand what I'm saying to you? So I'm going to go ahead and tap the fuck out. But I'll tap back in a little bit later on and do the full parlay video with y'all. I didn't get a chance to do it last week. I do apologize for that right now. I'm going to take a moment and apologize to y'all for that. I normally do that every single fight card. Parlay options for the prelims, the main card, the whole card, haymakers, Hail Marys, all favorites, swap out options, dog plays, and everything in between. I do my absolute best is to cover absolutely everything for y'all, man. And I had some personal shit going on this past week, and I did not tap in to get that out of the way. I do apologize. You understand what I'm saying to you? But that shit will be incoming a little bit later on this evening, the full parlay video. That shit right there was just a little extra shit, you know what I'm talking about? Just the way I'd like to see the main card go, the way I'd like to see the prelims go, the way I'd like to see a little bit of whole card action fall together, you feel me? But when I tap in for the full parlay video, we gonna talk everything. What I like, what I know some of y'all like, you know what I'm talking about? Individuals that are necessarily not on the same side as me. We gonna talk about shit for y'all. We gonna cover everything. You know what I'm talking about? So it is what it is. One final time, from bottom to top, let's run through this motherfucker real quick. Park is the pick. Anshu is the big dog. Jonathan's the small dog. Cody's the pick. Topuri is the pick. Bruna's another big dog. Tom's a small dog, and Gabe's the pick. Jake is the pick. Belato's the pick. Taliesin's the pick. Tatiana's the pick, and Drakus is the pick. So we have 13 fights, and we have 4 dogs. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, 13 fights, 4 dogs, man. It is what it is. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. That was the full card breakdown and predictions with a little bit of redundancy and a whole lot of extra shit, man. Stay tapped in. Peace and blessings.